The night before my wedding, I stood alone in the hotel room, makeup removed, veil draped over a chair, silence wrapping around me like a second skin. Then a knock, and a handwritten note. It was from him, my soon-to-be husband. He said he loved me, that he wanted me to feel free one last time, that I was his, but I should also be mine. It was the most tender and forbidden confession I'd ever read. Then they entered. 3 men, strangers, tall, quiet, composed. One looked down, another straight ahead, and the third stared into me. I didn't ask questions. I didn't speak. Emotional cheating doesn't always start with a kiss. Sometimes it starts with silence and permission. And in that moment, I felt both of those things pulsing through me. I should have been scared, but I wasn't. My heartbeat betrayed excitement, not panic. They didn't touch me, not yet. But their presence took up space. A different kind of intimacy. One that lingered in the air and wrapped itself around me like a slow-moving storm. This wasn't my fantasy. It was his gift. And now it was mine to decide. Was this love? Was this betrayal? Or was it psychological seduction disguised as empowerment? I didn't know, but I stepped back, letting the door close behind them. And with that sound, everything shifted. This wasn't just the night before my wedding. It was the night I crossed a line I didn't know I was standing on. The door clicked shut and the room changed instantly. They didn't rush. They didn't even speak. Just moved slowly, deliberately. Each step feeling like a question I hadn't yet answered. My skin prickled. The air was thick. It wasn't fear. It was forbidden anticipation, a kind of tension I hadn't felt in years. A sensual triangle forming, not with lovers but with strangers. The tallest one removed his coat and placed it over a chair. Another sat near the edge of the bed, fingers loosely interlocked. The third remained by the door just watching. They weren't there to impress me. They weren't performing. They were present, fully, hauntingly. And I, still in my robe, realized that my fiancé hadn't just sent me an experience. He had delivered a mirror to everything I'd suppressed. I sat. My breath was shallow, but my thoughts screamed. Was this betrayal? Or was this a real story of emotional cheating unfolding with elegance and control? I didn't feel owned. I felt exposed. And somehow I welcomed that. Each glance from them peeled something back. Layers of predictability, fear, expectation. I wasn't just seen. I was studied. No one touched me, but everything felt touched. The moment had gravity. It was psychological seduction in its purest form, the kind that doesn't need words to pull you in. My body leaned forward before I told it to, and that's when I knew. This wasn't a test of loyalty. It was a question of identity. And I wasn't sure who I was anymore, but I was ready to find out. When the first one moved closer, it didn't feel abrupt. It felt inevitable. His hand reached for my wrist, not forcefully, but with reverence. Like he was reading me, not claiming me. I didn't pull away. I let the moment stretch. I wanted to feel it. This wasn't about pleasure. It was about power, the kind I had denied myself for too long. A kind of sensual storytelling my body was finally ready to tell. The second man approached next. He didn't touch me at first, just stood behind me, close enough that I could feel the heat of his breath. The weight of his presence made my pulse race. And when he finally laid his hand on the small of my back, it wasn't lustful. It was anchoring. This wasn't chaos, it was choreography. It was emotional cheating performed with devotion. And the third, he waited. He watched. until I looked at him and nodded. That's when he moved. Gentle, then firm. Silent, but full of intent. Together, they created a rhythm I didn't expect. One that wasn't about dominance, but discovery. I wasn't a bride-to-be in that moment. I wasn't anyone's possession. I was a woman reclaiming the full spectrum of her desire, without apology. I didn't feel guilt. I felt awakened. This wasn't about him. It wasn't even about them. It was about me. A forbidden confession spoken through skin instead of words. And as they moved around me, with me, through me, I realized that for the first time in years, I wasn't waiting for permission to feel alive. The night turned thick with breath and skin. No chaos, no words, just a symphony of touch. Every movement, every glance felt deliberate. Their hands knew where to go, as if they had memorized my silence. This was no longer an act of physical intimacy. It was an emotional revelation, and I let it consume me. It was sensual storytelling with layers I didn't know I could feel. They moved in rhythm, one at my side, one behind, one in front. Each sensation different. One slow and reverent, one daring and precise, one grounding and protective. It wasn't random. It was emotional choreography. A slow burn betrayal of every rule I thought I needed to follow. I wasn't theirs. They were mine, each one giving me something I didn't know I had missed. My mind wanted to ask, what does this mean for tomorrow? For the vows? But my body silenced that voice. Because right now, I wasn't cheating, I was choosing. Choosing to feel. Choosing to be remembered. Choosing to exist outside the frame of wife and inside the fullness of woman. This was forbidden, yes, but so was every truth I had locked away. And when the moment reached its peak, when breath met breath, when gasps turned into stillness, I didn't cry. I didn't speak. I just stared at the ceiling, still surrounded by them, knowing I would never be the same again. Emotional cheating? Maybe. Or maybe it was emotional resurrection. A real story of infidelity, not to destroy love, but to remember who I was before it. When I opened my eyes, the light was soft and quiet. They were gone. The room was still, too still. The sheets twisted around my legs like vines holding memories I couldn't untangle. I sat up slowly, not out of shame, but to feel the weight of what had just happened. My body was sore, but it wasn't pain. It was presence. It was the echo of a forbidden confession no one would ever hear. I looked at myself in the mirror. I didn't see a bride. I didn't see a victim. I saw a woman changed. There was no regret, no guilt, just gravity. What I'd done wasn't just emotional cheating, it was an act of remembering, of reclaiming a part of me that had been buried under expectations, traditions, and quiet compromise. I still planned to marry him, but now I carried something new down the aisle, truth, and questions. Would he still see me the same way if he knew what really happened? Was this his gift, or was it a test? Was this night a fracture, or a foundation? I didn't have the answers, but I had something else, awareness, desire, autonomy, a story of infidelity that didn't destroy me, it revealed me. So I ask you, what would you do if the person who claimed to love you sent someone else to wake you up? Would you close the door, or open it, and discover what part of yourself you've been hiding all along? Because maybe the most honest stories are the ones we're too afraid to tell.